also. So you've got like that.
Right.
Got,
that's eating up the other part of the market.
But even in the subgenre of like these kind of realistic contemporary warfare shooters, this is going to have a tough time distinguishing itself.
Certainly.
all right.
I don't think I don't know. It seems weird to be dismissive of like, DICE made another shooter, because DICE makes like really excellent multiplayer first-person shooters.
You're right. It's the part where they kind of tried to. It feels like they tried to make it like Call of Duty.
I think if you start talking about like the proximity of the release of Battlefield Bad Company 2,
right, and also Battlefield Bad Company 2 Vietnam, which they're working on, and
which
of course,
is coming out. That's like early 11,
and then you've got Battlefield 3 waiting in the wings too. Like DICE is working on other games that will potentially be more exciting than this one. And I don't mean to freak you out, but this game just totally locked up.
I've noticed it's been locked up for a while. I think it got offended by us dissing it and decided to sulk. And no longer wants to play with us.
Let's see if Joey can reset the Xbox 360 for us, because it's locked up on us.
Have you tried turning it off and on again? That's always the first
Jiggle
thing.
the handle on that 360.
While we wait for Joey to walk in front of the camera, let's ask Internet Steve, who's waiting in the wings, to get some questions from the chat room. We've got a live chat going. It's not just the three of us on the couch.
I'm gonna get this one. I'm gonna get this one out of the way, because otherwise they won't stop. Okay, so Darkbeat DK asks, Gary, where did you get that Keyboard Cat shirt?
Oh, I don't remember. I think it was like maybe Threadless or one of those kind of trendy internet t-shirt
You buy a lot of
places.
shirts on the internet, Gary?
I do. All my clothing on the internet. I usually prefer not to see it until I wear it.
Once you know the sizes, why go to a store?
We just got to find out if it's a Hanes Beefy or if it's an American Apparel.
Every 5 years, I add one extra X onto the front of my shirt size, and that's all I need to do.
And just keep going from there.
Basically, just constantly moving up.
Righteous86 asks, what would you rather do than play Medal of Honor?
Ooh, how long have you got? 2 hours.
Let's go down.
It shows only 2 hours long, right?
Yeah. Let's go down the list. Let's start now. I mean,
play
we've
lots
got
of other games.
Let's itemize this list, Gary.
Well, to be fair, I'm kind of ragging on a game that I haven't even played yet. I've just been looking at the reviews and hearing you guys talk about it.
It's not terrible. That's the thing. It's very derivative and.
From the moment they announced this, I think everyone's first reaction was, well, clearly EA feels like they've got to get in on this slice of the action, right? Call of Duty 2 is
absolutely
good. Modern Warfare is
and they even said so much themselves that they said like, we're rolling out the EA Gun Club, which is the marketing campaign to encourage people to play all of our shooters, and we're going to take back the shooter crown. So it seemed like from the get-go, when they started talking about Medal of Honor, it was always in that context of, we understand people like Call of Duty. We think it would be cool if you liked our games as much as those.
What's your view on the whole controversy around how good taste is this game really in, simulating a war that we're actively engaged in, and clearly they had to backpedal on the whole Taliban thing.
I mean, we've been doing that for a decade. Like, there have been, Gulf War and, games set in that era, in that space for a long damn time. It's not like these guys are breaking new ground even with that.
So what is it about this one then that it seemed to come under more fire than some of the others?
It was a sound. It was basically like it made a good soundbite. People were saying like, you can play as the Taliban.
That's what people locked onto.
They were named Taliban, and you could play as them fighting American troops.
And you can kill American troops, right?
So all they've really done is change the multiplayer. The Taliban and Al Qaeda still figures heavily into the single player.
They still look like the Taliban, right? We just saw them in multiplayer.
Sure.
But they're now the opposing force.
Yes, the opposing force is the actual term, which is not a great term either. But all right, we got some players in here. Let's pick, dude. Really? Okay.
I always look at other people's gamer tags.
Just gonna shut this thing off. This locks up again.
Whenever I see other people's gamer tags, I always feel like I didn't put enough imagination into mine. Like I see names like Fecal Dagger and Berserking Guts, and I feel like I should have worked a little bit harder on my
Fecal
own gamer
Dagger's a favorite. He's a recurring character here.
He's a regular on here?
We've seen him in weeks past.
Yeah.
It's a good one. You see that one, you're like, yeah, I crapped up.
Well,
I really did a bad job on
that guy on
mine.
your friends list, right? Like I'm sure he never gets his friend invites turned down.
Either he gets no friend invites or a lot of friend invites.
Yeah.
And from people that you don't want friend invites from.
My favorite one that I ever saw was a guy whose name was Les Dudis. I thought that was particularly good.
All right, so we have a play group together here. We've got 3 other players here with us, and some invites sent out. And then all right, I'm gonna hit start match again. Last time I hit that, it said joining game, and then dumped us back to this menu.
Searching for game.
It's kind of annoying that in this day and age that multiplayer gaming is fairly well entrenched, and yet when I play multiplayer games, it often seems like 4 or 5 times out of every 10 or so.
It's like, connection error.
I'm not going to get through. It's still a lottery to get a working online game.
Yeah, I mean, and this game works with the same kind of infrastructure they used for Bad Company 2, which is a little bit different from the typical Xbox stuff. It seems like EA is running their own servers somewhere in a bunker, and you're connecting to those as opposed to the kind of purely peer-to-peer stuff that you're used to with Xbox. All right, so we're in.
Oh, you're in the game.
So this is a full game. So we aren't necessarily, this is
Have
not
they thrown in a
all
bunch of randoms as well?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's our play group, as they say.
Now, is your play group? Are you all on the same team, or did you get split up?
I believe we're on the same team.
Jeff, on your next, or I guess on your first death here, can we look at some of the class stuff real quick?
Sure.
Oh,
You're dead.
I'm dead.
great. Let's check out these classes.
I think you killed him too, though.
Oh, so it's just 3 classes.
Yeah, 3
Rifleman,
classes.
Spec Ops, Sniper, and then they've got. I think you said they have a carrot on the stick system. It's just a shitty carrot.
Yeah, it's kind of a you unlock more stuff, but the stuff that you really care about is going to be the extra magazine, and red dot sight,
Sure.
and that sort of stuff. And
I'm
you
gonna say
get that pretty early on.
I'm gonna say you get shit on a carrot, just throw it away.
Yeah.
Don't even try salvaging that carrot. Just get rid of it. You're done. Get a new carrot. Steve, how's the chat going? You got any questions from there?
Yeah, we have a few questions. Grimy616 asks, what are the chances of a Medal of Honor sequel to this?
A sequel to this game?
Yeah.
I think that depends on who you ask. I think that it's...
It's a little early to say, isn't it?
I would assume that absolutely. Before and after. I think that... Like EA was very forthcoming about, we're taking a crack at Modern Warfare, which as a major game publisher that is publicly held, it would be irresponsible of them not to try to take a crack at one of the most profitable...
Yeah. We can make money doing this, probably.
It's like, we need to try.
Right.
And if this game isn't the one that hit, I think they need to give it at least one more go. They have... it's crazy. They have maybe the deepest bench of first-person shooter developers of any of the major publishers.
Yeah,
So
Medal of Honor is an established brand, just as they did with Call of Duty. They're taking the old World War II brand and bringing that forward, so people know the name already.
So it's not the most original idea, but neither was WoW. So
This is probably not going to do Modern Warfare type numbers, though, don't you think?
No.
And it wouldn't need to justify a sequel.
No. I think that this could just be a loss leader. I think this game can eat it, and they can learn some lessons about what worked and what didn't, and how to take another crack at it.
But at the same time, I mean, DICE has Battlefield 3 coming.
Right.
EA has their deal with Respawn. They have other teams out there that can make shooters. Maybe one of those guys makes a Medal of Honor or something. But I don't know that this team or the team that worked on the campaign, maybe
Still
they're kind of getting the short end of the stick, maybe, because DICE has other irons in the fire, whereas these guys turned in a pretty lackluster campaign. In this situation, it's
I'm
hard.
glad I didn't get any of the EALA guys on the phone. This would have been awkward.
Speaking of Battlefield 3,
Yes.
Viper asks, he wants to know your thoughts on Battlefield 3 probably being on consoles.
Yeah, I don't think they should do that.
Gary, thoughts?
I didn't fully hear the question. Battlefield
3, when you buy Medal of Honor, you get a beta invite for Battlefield 3, and that includes the console versions of the game, leading people to believe that Battlefield 3 is going to be coming to consoles.
There's been no official thing.
I don't think they've actually really said, but considering the legacy of the core Battlefield franchise, what Battlefield 2 was, that seems like a move that will water down what Battlefield 3 will eventually
Is there something about the complexity of that kind of shooter that's not well lent to consoles then?
I just think that, with that game's always been about difficult to pilot vehicles and, a Battlefield with a wide scope that I don't think really maps well to a console controller.
Right.
So yeah, I think that they're in danger of screwing up the core Battlefield franchise if they aren't careful.
But I think that I think those are valid concerns because there is a specific feel to Battlefield games from other multiplayer first-person shooters. But I think if there's anyone that is going to have a chance of making that work, it is DICE, and hopefully they get to focus on that stuff between now and I guess late 2011 is the expected release for.
Yeah,
for 3.
I guess so. Yeah.
Again, I don't think there's any official word out of EA. Are you just shooting dudes? What's the...
This is team deathmatch.
Okay, just straight up, your guys shooting the other guys.
Yep.
So we were saying before, given the game has a somewhat realistic context, they can't really get too creative with the game modes. It has to be fairly just straight up shooting and attack and defend, right?
More or less, yeah. You know, and also they've kind of taken the core modes that you would expect from a modern military shooter of, you know, you shooting the other guy and you defending some objectives and that sort of stuff. It's
like capture the flag's a hard thing to do in this kind of context.
Is there a field lattice generator out there that you have to activate?
right. But yeah, well, Call of Duty definitely does do capture the flag.
Right.
I think they could have done capture the flag here. It would have seemed a little strange, but you know, this game is not realistic. It takes place in a realistic setting, and there were a lot of people that were ready to be very up in arms about this product, but there's nothing controversial about it. It's you are aiming the gun at the other guys and pulling the trigger. If you stop and think about it, then you realize, like, oh, well, this is this faction, this is this faction, but at no point does the game really deal with the hard stuff. It doesn't really deal with anything heavy at all.
See, that's the thing that for me actually is kind of controversial. I think if you're going to set a game in this kind of context, then you've got you've got kind of a moral imperative to try to take it seriously and maybe grapple a bit with the hard stuff. Like you look at, no one's done like a crazy action movie set in Iraq or Afghanistan yet, because that would be considered in poor taste. All those movies have been very serious. So I feel like the games should take themselves seriously as well. If you just turn this into like a glamorous macho shoot 'em up, that's kind of lame.
I think it's hard to hit that note without seeming exploitative.
Yeah,
in a game.
And so they do have some moments in here. I mean, there's, you know, like, so there's a friendly fire incident in the campaign.
Right.
And that's about as heavy as it gets. But you know, it's you're so detached from it at that point. It's just it's a cutscene. So it almost feels like that maybe they were kind of shying away from anything that could have been picked out as too heavy.
Yeah, I mean the fun thing about the modern warfare games is even though they're set in the modern day, because the scenarios are so fictionalized, they can do crazy Tom Clancy stuff.
Yeah. Oh,
I mean,
man.
Modern Warfare 2, they just went off a cliff with the craziness.
I would say I bet Tom Clancy is just jealous.
Tom Clancy,
He
I'm
looks at it
sure,
and goes, oh!
Tom Clancy, I'm sure, was looking at those games going, "Come on!"
How come Jack Ryan isn't there in the front lines pulling the trigger? He could have been there.
They did. I mean, as awesome as it was, you know, fighting in the Oval Office and stuff, it was
so ridiculous.
It was ridiculous.
Oh, like, dude, the scene in space and EMPs going off in
my
DC
goodness.
and planes dropping out of the
Oh,
sky.
I loved every minute of it.
I was like, this is so ridiculous.
It is good fun. That scene when you first come out of the underground kind of, you know, staging area, and Washington D.C. is like all ablaze and stuff. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. No, that game has some high impact moments.
Who won?
The single player.
Our team won.
Oh, your team won. Okay, yay! Well done.
Though I did not do especially well.
You seem like you got some kills.
I did get a few in there.
In fact, your total team score was
Wait, how come
actually
your
lower.
score is lower, but you won?
And you had less kills.
What?
It does that sometimes. I don't really know.
Like, what's
If I
that?
was the other team, I'd be pretty pissed right now.
Yeah.
But maybe it's the other part that's wrong. Who can say?
Look, Chaotic
you
Wasabi,
lost.
there's another one. Everyone has a better gamer tag than me. Chaotic Wasabi, that's a great gamer tag.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
I think as long as your gamer tag doesn't have any numbers in it, you're doing okay.
You have to just put a shitload of X's on the front and back of yours, and you'll be good.
That's what I'll probably have to do.
Pay,
All right, so
pay
now
the
you get
20,
to be the good guys.
Yeah, so
So the three classes are the same no matter what side you're on.
right, and the weapons are identical across the. I mean, well, it's an AK-47 versus an M16, but
Right.
functionally,
statistically,
Stat-wise,
they are
they're exactly
identical.
the same.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
And again, being set in Afghanistan, there's not really they can't really get too creative with the environments. It's all just going to be this kind of bland, rocky desert. Right?
Yeah, well, it's rocky desert and then burned out villages.
Yeah. So does that get kind of samey after a while?
Yeah.
So are you always playing as Rangers in the?
Kill him up close. There you go. Did you
Again.
do the thing there where you remembered to switch to your
I did.
secondary? That's good. That's good gameplay.
Yeah.
Discipline.
Don't.
I never remember.
Yeah,
to
Don't
do that.
reload.
Every
switch.
single game in the tutorial, they tell you that, right?
yeah.
Don't reload. Switch to your secondary. I never do it. I
Yeah.
always die like with my magazine half in the rifle.
I always die. For me, it's always I'm just trying to gun butt them to death.
But I don't. That sounds kind of rude. Is that? Oh,
Oh,
you
yeah.
mean like with the butt of your
Yeah.
gun? Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So Gary, to your point about trying to do like a serious modern day like Iraq or Afghanistan war game, like 6 Days in Fallujah. Like they were trying to.
That was actually the most controversial one.
And they were trying to